All right. Welcome, everybody. It's Brian Keenan again, and I am joined by the 007 agent from Central Valley, Jay Bond. Jay, thanks so much for hopping on this interview today. I'm really excited to have you, man. You've been how long have you been doing real estate?
I've been licensed 16 years as of September. So in a while, I dabbled a little bit my first couple of years. I went full time in 2012. And so
Awesome.
this is my 10th year, full-time year in the business. So over a decade under the belt now, a few hundred transactions under my belt. And it's been a roller coaster ride, to say the least, but the best roller coaster ride that I've ever been on or could even have imagined. I could even get a seat on that ride. You know what I mean? So I can't stress that enough just with this business. I'm in San Luis Obispo, California. It's a little coastal community, as you know, we're about 2.5 hours south of where you are there. Wine country, oceanfront, a lot of, ag stuff, a good mix. We're kind of a weird melting pot market, second home market here with stuff we deal with. Absolutely.
What's the average price point down there?
Average price point for the county is probably about, $750,000, $800,000.
Okay. All right. Nice. And you're a team leader as well.
Team lead, broker, team lead. I've been a broker for going on 4 years now. Nice. Was an independent broker. We moved to EXP in January, brought the team over. Best decision and transition that we've made. One of the smartest decisions I've made in this industry in a long time was bringing the team over for a few reasons. Primarily one, our fast forward group is huge, and it's just such great collaboration and takeaways from that ecosystem. So it just really helped us kind of go on this, upward trajectory that we want to be on right now. But been a team lead for 6 years, maybe 7 years now, actually. Different sizes of teams. We're expanding right now, kind of going through that, and I'm taking the fortunate and position of coaching and mentoring more and more agents these days. Working with a lot of teams, speaking with teams on stuff like for sale by owners, expireds, prospecting, scripting, stuff like that. Really how I built my business. I built it door knocking, cold calling. I did a great job of doing that, and it wasn't easy, right? It's a very sweat equity involved. It's very tough, and it's not for everyone, but the people who do it and do it well can make a lot of money. And guess what? You don't pay referral fees on that stuff. There's a lot of good avenues right now, but there's a lot, to touch base on. We're seeing huge changes in the marketplace right now. How people need to adapt to consumer behavior, and what you need to do to be creating urgency, right? And I can't stress that enough right now. Am I able to share my screen at all on this? What's really critical right now, and I can't stress this enough, everyone needs to be prospecting as much as they can for a few reasons. One, we're going to see consumers cooling off right now. Right. So we're going to have less buyers in the marketplace. So referral-based companies that a lot of teams are working with, from Zillow Flex to OpCity to everything else, we're going to be seeing more diminished lead flow. I think that's something that we're going to see more consistently. We're also going to be seeing more days on market. Right. And that's something that people need to acclimate to, but it's also just creating a lot of clear expectations for sellers right now. A lot of sellers are still reeling from the last 2 years of the market. We are not in last summer's market. How we're selling homes now is different than how we were selling homes 6 or 9 months ago, because we were in a different market atmosphere, right? We're really only concerned with sales that have taken place from June on, right? Because that's when rates really started hiking up. So anything before then was in a very different market. So we're not really looking at that, for example, for comparable sales. So just having those talks with sellers, I'm not sure what everyone is seeing in their market, but for us, we're seeing values they're no longer rising. They've kind of just leveled off. They actually haven't gone down yet, right? And that's a misconception because a lot of people feel like, oh, values are going down. It's like, no. They're not going up, but they actually have not gone down. So instead of getting 10 or 15% over market like you may have last year because of the competition, you might actually just get market value right now, which is kind of a normalized environment. So it's not a bad thing. Rates are higher, right? So again, we're going to be seeing a diminished buyer pool. It's really important as a seller in this market to be aggressive with your listing price. I would advise you price probably 10 or 15% under market. Not to say that you're going to sell at that price, but you need to create urgency with buyers and get their attention and get them writing, because the market will dictate the price. Meaning if you get a handful of offers and it's going to get bid up, it will. And we are still seeing that with our listings right now. You know? So instead of 15 offers, you might have 3 or 4, but they're still willing to bid it up a little bit. and they're still willing to compete if we started attractively enough. We are seeing price reductions across the board right now.
Okay.
And everyone thinks the sky is falling. It's like, no, you're just pricing at market or higher, and you're sitting and sitting and sitting. Right. So it's having those tough conversations with your client and educating them. Right.
Yeah.
For buyers, buyers are spooked on interest rates, and it's understandable. They're losing a lot of purchasing power right now. But what has been everyone's motto since June, right? Marry the house, date the rate. Right. That's what everyone's been saying, which is important. If you like the house, guess what? Buy it. Right. There's a few ways to skin that cat with financing. There's interest rate buy downs, 2-1 buy downs. There's adjustable rate mortgages, right? Your arms. So you're not just stuck on that fixed. And you know what? Guess what? Hey, maybe you buy a 2-year rate buy down. Right. Because and then hopefully in a year or two, when you roll into your normal terms of your loan, maybe rates are lower and you can refi.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of ways to approach it. So people can still get what they need right now, right? They just have to talk to their team, and their team is going to be them, their lender, right? And really coming up and strategizing. So pulling from your service providers is really important right now too. Everyone has to work together to get the ball down the field, right? And people sitting on the sidelines right now are missing out on opportunity. And they keep telling you, if you're a buyer or seller, there's plenty of opportunity out there still. You just need to do your homework and see what box you fit into, right? And there's still several boxes that you can fit into. That's really big and really important. Agents, for agents out there, what are opportunities right now for sale by owners? Expired listings. You're seeing a lot of expired listings. Why? Because people are pricing too high still, right? And they're not doing what they want, and they're taking their homes off the market, and they're scratching their heads. And that's an opportunity for you to have those conversations and give them clarity as a consultant on a good roadmap for success for what they need to do to get their home sold right now. Because it is very doable. We're getting them sold. We have agents in our market calling us saying, what are you guys doing? Right now, how'd you guys get that price for that home? This and that. I'm like, because we took the right strategy. Right. I'm not trying to sell homes like I did last year. You can't put a sign out there. It's just going to sell, even if it's 20% over the next guy. We're not in that environment anymore.
Completely different
so
market.
Those clear expectations. But getting your prospecting plans dialed in is going to be really important right now. Your cadence of follow-up is also going to be important. I'm great at scripting. I coach agents on scripting, objection handling, and you can only be so good. And what I mean by that is you don't want to objection handle yourself out of a listing appointment. Right. You don't want to push anyone away. This is really critical time right now. You can make valid points and build a case with your seller. Right. But if it's very clear that they're just not ready, then don't push them too much. You make the decision. We're just consultants. We provide the data. They can make an educated decision based on what we provide. Right. And so what does that look like then? That means I may have to nurture them, for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 24 months or longer. What does that cadence look like? What do those conversations look like? Right. And so again, it's really important to be providing value when we have those talks. And when you're checking in with your, prospecting with them, an easy, I call it, disarming the objection before you get it. I call it the pull the cat out of the bag approach with objections, because agents will ask me like, "Whoa, what if they tell me they're a year out and I call them back a month later? Like, I don't want them attacking me. They told me they're a year out." I'm like, well, you pull the cat out the bag. You disarm that objection. I start that conversation. Ring, ring. Hey, Ryan, J. Bond here, Bond Real Estate Group. Hey, I wanted to reach out. I know you guys said you're going to be about a year out from revisiting selling. I just wanted to check in. I know when plans change, they can change quickly. Is that still the game plan? Right? What did I do? I disarmed him. If I call and said, oh, hey, Ryan, what's going on? Just check it in. They're like, dude, didn't I tell you I'm a year out? Like, why are you calling me a month later or 6 weeks later? You know what I mean? So I disarm it. Hey, I knew you guys said you're about a year out. I just want to check in. Have plans changed? Right.
And so how do you learn those techniques? Where do you source that information from, or those techniques? Is that
those scripts? I'm working on documenting this dialogue. So if anybody wants, they can find me on Instagram. They can DM me. They can even schedule a call. I'm happy to get you on our team calls or do what we can do to have those conversations, right, with people.
Awesome.
But that's a really important thing, is to be knowing what that appropriate cadence is. So if you talk to someone, call them back in 2 or 3 weeks and check in, and you say, hey, I know you guys mentioned being 6 or 12 months out. I just wanted to check in, see if that was still the game plan. Great. Maybe follow up 6 weeks later. And then if it's very clear that they're still ways out, maybe 8 weeks. But after a while, never go any longer than 90 days. At least once per quarter, if they're on a long tail nurture, check in, phone call, text, email, touching base, providing value, and asking again if any plans have changed.
Yeah.
And that's really where the dollars are, is in the follow-up. Because we follow up with people for years. I've had clients 5 or 6 years we followed up with before they're ready to go. As long as if they've communicated an interest in buying or selling at one point in time in history, continue talking to them, because eventually they will go back to buying or selling. And when they do, they're only going to think of you if you've been the one to follow up with them that long. The average agent, I think statistically, they say follow-ups makes about 9 follow-up attempts, and then they move on. Right. So that's everyone's opportunity to shine and really stick it out with leads right now. And that dialogue is really important. Hey, I just wanted to check in. I know when plans change, they change quickly. I want to make sure we're being a good resource for you. How are things going, Ryan? Have things changed at all?
Right. Yeah. Not so much. I'm a little worried about rates right now.
I get it. A lot of people are, we do free consultations. I just want to let you know that too. If you ever want to meet, look at scenarios for buying and selling, I want to show you a roadmap of what that looks like. Probably no more than 20 minutes. And again, no strings attached. You don't have to sign up with us or do anything. But I'd like to weigh it out, because if it's a viable option, I don't want you to miss out on a good window of opportunity, because it still sounds like you guys would like to downsize and get to Phoenix before the end of the year. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really the goal. Yeah.
Wonderful. I've got some availability actually tomorrow at 5, maybe, Thursday at 2. You think one of those days will work better?
Let's do Thursday.
Thursday at 2. Perfect. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and pencil you in. I'll send you a calendar invite, and I'm looking forward to seeing you Thursday at 2.
Awesome. Yeah. Right.
And
that's really good, man. The cadence, just like you said, your ability to take away the objections, I think is really good. And so how many of those are you doing? Like a week or a month? Like,
125 of those a week, probably.
Wow. That's amazing.
I follow up with probably 20 to 22 people a day. And so times that 5 days a week, 100 plus follow-up calls.
Wow.
And that's not even including prospecting. Because I'm still in production. Our team's kicking butt, but I still am in production. I like to sell and I like to coach as well.
That's awesome.
I'm still very much in that. And I have my own database of about 400 people that I directly nurture and follow up with monthly. Right. So, working that out, weeding out the people. Again, if they go 3 straight months without responding to any of your communications, put them in your pond, right? Or let your systems in-house, AI or whatever you're doing, nurture them until they're ready to start talking again. You usually get that by, alerts, right? Yeah. You get a notification, so-and-so looked at this or so-and-so did that. Okay, great. Well, now they're re-engaging. I'm going to reach back out again. You only want to be spending your time and energy on people that are engaging you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And that's really important.
Yeah. So how is it? So with the listings you guys are getting, when you're calling these for sale by owners, you're doing open houses. Can you talk a little bit about like what you're doing at open houses and your strategy? Are you seeing a lot more people coming to open houses? Like I know last year we had a ton of people, like open houses were huge. And now we're starting to see that dwindle down a little bit. Has your approach changed with people at open houses?
You know what? We've seen hit and miss. It feels like it's been a little bit slower. For us, we haven't been able to maximize, and it's something we're working on, open house opportunities as much as possible. And what I mean by that is, one, like our average days on market still right now, even since the rates are going up, is still about 9 days. And so ours are moving usually quicker. They're usually under contract before we have an opportunity still right now to do an open house, or we might squeak out 1 or 2.
Interesting.
But we have seen a little bit of a slowdown, right? And I think even though that it's a slowdown, it's all about consistency, right? And just like that, and this is frequency. And this is really important for new agents, because new agents come in and they try something once or twice and it doesn't work, or they don't get the results that they thought or they were hoping they were going to get. And they rule it out that it just doesn't work at all, which is not the case. It's just about frequency, meaning you just didn't do it enough times to get a result that you're after.
Right.
And that's super important. Just like anything else. If I call it for sale by owner once or twice and my script didn't work, well, guess what? It doesn't mean the script doesn't work. It just didn't work at that time on that person. Try it 5 or 6 more times and you're going to end up landing something, right? It's just about increasing the number of at-bats. Right. So you can have more opportunity to land something, right? So it's just increasing your frequency. So that's really important. Another thing to really delve deep on, I tell agents this too, is don't be working or following up with any more than 100 leads at a time. And I just said I work 400 plus, but I'm a fucking cyborg. You know, I don't expect people to be, to be working that. I'm built that way and I can do it. But most, you know, normal people are not, you know, normal agents are not going to do that. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't encourage it. I would say focus on 100 leads at a time and constantly be weeding out that, that space. I tell my agents, it's your garden. Think of it as your garden. Right. That garden is going to feed me every year. And you got to water it, you got to sing to it, give it sunshine, and come harvest season, I'm going to see what harvested and what didn't, and whatever didn't, I'm going to keep giving it sunshine and water and singing to it until, you know, the next year, right? So with that being said, you're going to weed out your 100. So again, if people go dark, guess what? They're no longer in my 100. I'm going to segue them out to a pond or something else. And then I'll move in a fresh 100, you know, I'll fill the void with a couple more leads and maintain my 100. Because with 100 leads, an agent can go deep and not wide. Right. And that's really important. You can't be something to everyone. And if you're trying to work too many leads at once, guess what? You're never going to build rapport with them and you're never going to gain traction. But I can go super deep on 100 and build rapport with them and build strong ties. Right. And that's really, really important to be focused on that.
Yeah. And that's awesome. You know, something that I've seen a lot right now is, you know, you have certain people that are really hot and then you don't talk to them for a couple of days. You know, sometimes I see agents on my team and it's like, now I'm following up with everybody every single day. And it's like, regardless if I'm like, hey, you know, I didn't see anything new in your search, but I just want to let you know I'm looking, you know? And I think that like staying on top of mine right now is like super important. And then once you get that appointment, once you get those people to say, yes, I want to go see this house, what steps are you taking now? Or what processes are you using that is necessarily maybe not different than the market was last year, but maybe something new you incorporated?
Sure. Well, you know, I don't want to say, and I'll touch base on a few things to that regard. What we're really drilling down on, and I'm putting more emphasis on this now that I'm expanding my horizons as far as, you know, leading agents and mentoring agents and this and that. It is super important right now to be creating urgency. As I said, buyers are not feeling super motivated, right? But we're in a weird storm in the current marketplace. You know, this is not 08 and 09 when there was an abundance of inventory that time, right? In the market through the mortgage crisis, there's not a lot of inventory still. Values are still high because they haven't dropped. They're not going up, but they haven't dropped. And money is really expensive to borrow right now. So there's just a squeeze across the front, right? So there is still scarcity. So there is still slightly a little bit more into a seller's market, I would say. But right now it's creating urgency and drawing buyers out. This is something agents didn't have to do over the last 2.5 years, right? They did not have to push people too hard to get offers written because people had to, what did we see last 2 years? You had to, you know, cash well over asking price, all contingencies removed before I even see the house to even have a shot at getting it, right? So it's very different. Now agents are having to get used to pushing buyers. I don't want to say pushing, but really trying to get them to come out of the woodwork and offer on properties, right? So really paying attention to their views. What are they looking at on your website? If they looked at 123 Main Street 8 times, you should probably reach out to them. You know, creating urgency to get them out and drawing offers. Because right now what we're going to see, and this is what we saw, because at least in our market, you know, for almost the bulk of my professional career as an agent over this last 10 years, we were in a buyer's market here. And I was a heavy listing agent. And for buyers, they had a lot of options and they were not feeling motivated to offer. And so you would have to have those conversations. And this is something that I encourage agents to have now is buyers and be like, oh, well, I don't know. Hey, why don't we just write an offer and open up negotiations? We'll just throw the hat in the ring. What do you think? You know, and yeah, they might go in 25 or 50 grand lower, but that's the market we're in. You know, things are not inflated anymore. They're more normalized, right? Not to say that that's under market because buyers determine value, right? It's market value, but you're going to have, long story short, we have to draw them out. So we're saying, hey, I don't know. That's a conversation, guys. And I'm telling all these agents right now, if there's anyone listening, have that tough conversation. If they're on the fence, because you're going to see it, I don't know. Well, I don't know. We're still kind of thinking about it. Hey, why don't we do this? If there's a number that makes sense, let's just throw the hat in the ring. Worst case, you know, they say no. Let's just throw it in and open negotiations. And we're having to do that. That's something agents haven't had to do before. So being mindful of doing that, getting the offer drawn, right? And there's going to be some back and forth now. There used to not be that at all. Now we're going to see negotiating again. Counter offers going back and forth, right? Trying to clean up terms and getting closer to a price the seller wants and it's comfortable for a buyer. So there's going to be a lot of back and forth. When you call someone, and agents, again, I always say this and I post videos on this, don't have tough conversations through text message, anything like that, right? But one thing I would tell you is if you call your buyer or seller and say, hey, will you take 25 or 30 grand less than what you're asking? What do they say? They're going to say no, right? So I always don't have those conversations. Get it in writing, agents, and get counteroffers drafted, because someone may tell you no over the phone, but if they see it in writing and they know they're a signature away from putting the deal together, they have an emotional change where they might just sign it and get it going. So again, get your counteroffers drawn. Stop calling agents saying, oh, will they take this? Well, let me talk to my seller. Let me talk to my buyer. Are they going to do this? Fuck no, they're not going to do that. You know, that's not what they want. Get a counteroffer, because when they're looking at it, they're like, oh shit, this is a real offer that I can sign and accept. The mentality changes. It shifts. Right. So it's really important. Get your buyers writing offers. Let's just throw an offer in. Let's just open negotiations. Right. Yeah. And then tell them, get written counteroffers. That's what's going to get deals done for agents right now. Right. So just strategizing. This is not what we had to do the last 2 years. So again, agents are going to be working harder right now to get deals done. And it's the truth, because we're in a weird market where it's going to take a while for seller expectations to start coming to reality. Yeah. Right. It's going to get buyers a little while to start coming out of their comfort zone because of how damn expensive it is to borrow money right now. Right. So we've got to create that urgency. We've got to, really give people the right direction and lead them to where we need to be. And those are some of the strategies that agents need to be implementing right now. Two, to echo Colton Whitney, who crushes it all the time and his team's killing it. I love their strategy. We've been trying to R&D that a lot right now, as far as how we work these appointments with buyers. If you're getting your buyer appointment, get that second appointment on the calendar before the first one is over. Right. Even if there's no inventory, meet around that kitchen island, have that talk. What do you guys think? And this is a huge thing. I always make it almost a joke. What do you guys think? Are we writing an offer today? And see what they say. You kind of make it funny. When you write an offer today, what do you think? And they're going to be like, I don't know, Jay. Well, tell me, what is this home missing that you guys want to see? Tell me what that dream home looks like. Perfect. When you're going through a property with a buyer, get there 15 minutes early or 10 minutes early. Open it up, walk through the house first. So when you take them through it, you're already relatively familiar with it. Right? Exactly. Yeah. That's an important thing to do. Again, at that kitchen island. Hey, you know what? Why don't we do this? If I could line up another property or two to see Friday when you get off at 5, between 5 and 6, want to go see them? Perfect. Let's get it on the calendar. Get that appointment set and keep them going. Right. And that's going to be really, really important.
What are some objections that you get at the appointment, and how would you handle those?
Listing or buyer?
Let's say buying.
So we're at the showing, and what objections we would get?
Yeah, like let's say that somebody says, hey, this house, like let's say they say, we've looked at a bunch of houses, and we just decided that we're gonna rent right now.
Gotcha. Ryan, I totally understand you guys are considering renting, but I'm going to be honest with you. When inflation is up, rents are also up as well. So you guys are going to be paying more and more rent and paying someone else's mortgage versus building equity in an asset for yourselves. I still think it's more cost effective and a better return and investment at the end of the day for you guys to consider buying. If we could really sit down with our lender and weigh out these scenarios and find something that works for you, is that something you guys would be open to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. And again, I don't want you to rule out buying if it's something we can make happen for you, right? So if we can't, I'll be the first to tell you, but if we can make something work, I want you guys to have that opportunity and not miss that window. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. But hey, Jay, we're really concerned about this deck, and it's probably going to be like $70,000 to rebuild this deck. How would you put that into the offer, the purchase price?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to have a due diligence period, Ryan. Let's get our inspections done, and we'll submit a formal request for repair, and we'll negotiate it out. Because honestly, this is a big item. If the seller wants to sell to anyone, they're going to have to address this issue and negotiate it out. So we'll cross that bridge when it presents itself. Right now, let's just get under contract. That way we know we're in a good position. And then from there, we can open negotiations. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Perfect. That sounds wonderful.
Awesome. Wow, this is really good. So what are some seller objections you're getting?
Seller objections, is going to be price. That's what we're going to say now. I want this, and also having tough talks on price reductions, right? Some agents have never even had to do a price reduction, depending on what market you're in. They don't even know what the fuck it is.
Right.
And so it's like, I come from a market where we've been through a lot of them, and when you're in a changing market, you're going to go. But again, the goal is to not have to do any price reduction. The goal is to be pricing a little under and market and being attractive so you can get market value, or if you're lucky, a little bit higher in the shortest amount of time. I cannot stress that enough. So if you've done a price reduction, it's because, your seller was not willing to take direction on pricing strategy. Right. And again, do you not take a listen? Because no, you do, but you just have that talk up front. So when they get the results that you told them they would get or wouldn't get, you can say, hey, I hate to say it, but I told you so. Or this is, I wouldn't say it like I don't like rubbing their face, but hey, this is the situation that I was afraid was going to happen that I had mentioned to you. Right. This is what I was afraid was going to happen, and pitch it like that. Because it sounds like you're in their team. You don't want to rub their nose in it, but you want to let them know, hey, this is the result I kind of said that we would get, and I'm concerned about it. I think we need to make an adjustment so we can start getting activity in. Now, guys, again, it's all about future pacing. If your client is surprised about something, guess whose fault it is?
Yours.
It's your fucking fault as the agent. It is. Whether a buyer or seller, you need to give them direction and clear expectations on what to expect every step of the way. Right. So I tell them early on, this is for agents, because this is what you need to be having a talk about with your sellers. What is good activity on a listing? 3 to 5 or more showings per week. So, hey, Ryan, you know what? I know you want to start at that price. I would really urge you to consider starting lower, because I don't want to do price reduction, right? Because then we're on a slippery slope down in a changing market. I don't want that right now. But if you're going to, I just want you to know what good activity is. Good activity is around 3 to 5 or more showings per week. So after the first week or two, if we're getting less than 3 showings a week, I'm going to have that talk of saying, hey, I think we need to get a price reduction, because that tells me a lot. That tells me we're priced so high that people don't want to come see us. And in a tight inventory market still, we don't need to be taking the wrong foot out the door. Really important. Now, on the flip side, Mr. Seller, Ryan, let's go and take a look at it like this. Let's say, for example, we're getting 3 to 5 showings or more very consistently for the first 2 weeks or so. And if we start seeing activity taper down, or we don't see offers at that point, that tells me a lot too. That tells me, hey, we were attractive enough to get people through the door, but clearly the pot was not sweet enough to get them writing offers, which tells me we're just a small price adjustment away from drawing 1 or 2 of these buyers out of the woodwork. And that's a great way to have that conversation on asking for a price reduction. And if you have that talk early on, they'll even call you. They'll be like, Jay, I know we got less than 3 showings. I know you said that was like a bad, thing. And this and that. And you let them know, like, you set that expectation. So you can say, hey, this is what I was concerned about, Ryan. We're not getting a lot of activity. We need to get people through the door. I think we should bring the price down 20 grand, whatever it's going to be.
Right.
And that's the reality, because the buyers are the market. They are going to dictate. Something is only worth what someone else is willing to offer at that day and time. We're only as good as we don't determine. And that's why I tell my clients too, hey guys, I want you to know, you, me, your wife, hey, I would love to tell you otherwise, but we don't determine value. Buyers do, right? We're only as good as what someone's willing to offer us, and we need to draw out the market. If we're meant to get more money, the market will provide more money. Right. And then you'll always have that one where they're gonna you need a price reduction. Like, oh, we don't want to bring the price down. We're not going to take an offer that low. We're already losing X amount. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Ryan. Think about it like this: if no one was willing to offer you that in the first place, you're not really losing it. Am I right?
Right. It's just something you could have had, but you're not going to get. So, I mean,
it's very clear. I mean, the market spoke for itself, and you got to break. And they're like, wow. I had one client like, wow, you're good. I'm like, well, no, I'm not trying to be good. I'm making a point. Like, in your mind, you feel like you're losing out, but if no one was going to give it to you in the first place, you're not really losing anything.
Right. So, how do you set those expectations? This is for agents. How do you set those expectations at a listing appointment when you're meeting?
Absolutely. You just have that conversation. Once you discuss pricing strategy, and guys, I want to be really clear on this. There's 2 things that sellers care about. What are the 2 things? They only give a shit about these 2 things. What can my house sell for? What are you going to charge me in commission? That's all they care about. So I show them those 2 things last. I want to show them our value proposition first. Always build your value proposition first. Marketing plan, track record, what you're doing. That's important because it builds confidence in you and what your abilities are, or your abilities in your team, or your company, where it's going to be. Then go over pricing strategy, and then go over a CMA last. And that's important. And it's that you follow that cadence. That's really important to segue in that direction. And most of the time, they're going to understand the strategy and the process and accept it. And if not, then you roll into those expectations. If you're weary that we're not going to hit the mark, to say, okay, you know what? I just want you to know what we consider good activity, and this is nationally, is about 3 to 5 showings or more per week. So if we're getting less than that, then that's the market saying that they don't even want to come see us because we're priced too high. Right. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. We're gauging this all on consumer behavior. That's all you can do is look at the data and look at how consumers are reacting. It's great your neighbor's house sold for 1.5, but we can't say that we're going to get 1.5. Buyers may feel that we're 1.4, right? We have to, it's all going to be based on consumer behavior and how buyers are reacting that day.
Right.
Right. And you'll see a trend too, because a lot of buyers will offer around the same range. So it's weird how the market will speak for itself, how 3 people who've never met each other make similar offers, right? The market's going to speak for itself. So, and that's usually when you can delve into those expectations of going. If you feel like they're not taking the pricing strategy that you want, then have that talk with them of saying, hey, I want to let you guys know this is what we gauge as good activity.
Right.
And so I don't want it to be a surprise in 2 weeks when we haven't seen offers. I might come ask for a price reduction if things are slow.
Right.
Because if not, we're just going to sit there and get further and further away from what you guys want. Right.
Yeah.
And I've got slide decks for all that stuff that I show them.
Yeah. Well, how can people, are you willing to give those people that watch this that maybe want more information, or how can people reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys can reach out to me on Instagram, a lot of underscores in there, _J_Bond_007. Why? Because I changed my name one time and then someone took it and then I had to get a new handle on it. Or you can just search J Bond. I don't care where you are in the universe. I'm always going to pop up usually on that page. The first page of the list of results on Instagram. So follow me on there. You can send me a DM. I'll send you what you can. As far as, coaching on these things, I do talk to teams weekly. I come on their calls and kind of go over listing presentations, scripting, prospecting stuff, objection handling. I do coach agents directly on our team, and I also coach agents that I sponsor to EXP. So if anybody's thinking of making a transition, they want to change their business and they want to get with a group and an organization and an ecosystem for growth, then, like I said, send us a DM, 100%.
And then Jay, if you can just maybe summarize, you were talking a little bit about it at the beginning, but it would be good to end on maybe some of the value you've gotten from EXP. And,
and that's huge. The biggest thing, the MLM aspect, right? You have your multi-level marketing aspect. So if you sponsor agents to the company that produce, you get a nice check in the mail every month that you didn't have to work for necessarily. Right. So it's making sure you're bringing on caliber agents to the ecosystem. That's actually not why I went. It's something that I'm seeing after the fact right now, which is a great plus. Really, the value is the content. The value is the collaboration. So it's really important who you get sponsored by, because you want to make sure you have a strong upline in this company. You want to make sure that, because everyone on your upline, they're incentivized to make sure that you're successful, because everybody wins. Financially, the more money you make, the more money everyone makes, right? And we're all in this to support each other, grow. I love seeing my friends crush it. I love coming on and collaborating with, sometimes 600 to 900 rock stars on our Monday call. The best agents in the country, the fucking best agents in the country are on that call, from all walks of life. We're getting them from Compass. We're getting them from all these sinking ship brokerages that are coming over right now. And we're bringing over the highest caliber agents that want to be the best. And I love being in that environment because you can tell. And on those calls, there's a lot of number ones and a lot of fucking markets on those calls.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And that's really important. So just surround, and that's why I came on, because I wanted to see people's playbooks, and we wanted to go to the next level, and we weren't doing it on our own. What got you here is not going to get you there.
Yeah.
So it's really important for agents. So that's the biggest value add. Clearwater Insurance is great. Stock options in the market's improved is great. But I would say honestly, Ryan, it's the collaboration. I've learned more in the less than a year that we've been with the company. And I knew a lot of these people through Tom Ferry. I've been coaching with that ecosystem for 7 years. I'm coaching with Chet Black's group right now. And we're around a lot of top producers and agents. And I had to say, like, our ecosystem in particular on our fast forward call, I've gotten more from that than just about anywhere else, because everybody's doing it. They've been there.
Yeah.
Right. At all shapes and sizes. And so it's just a phenomenal thing. It's a priceless thing to tap into. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah. It's like something Kyle Whistle one of the founders of Fast Forward always says, like, if you want to know the road ahead, ask somebody that's been there before.
100%.
You know, and
makes no sense to make those. You can learn from your own mistakes. You always want to fail forward, right? But if I can learn from mistakes that other people have made so I don't make them and get ahead even further in a shorter amount of time, why not?
Right.
You know, that's the trajectory that everybody wants to be on.
What's the just a couple quick questions to end it on here. What's the best piece of business advice that you've gotten?
The best piece of business advice that I've gotten, you know, when I read 10X by Grant Cardone, I really liked that book, and it really resonated with me because how I built my business, and not everyone builds businesses this way. I had to build from scratch, and I didn't know what to do. And so door knocking, cold calling was how I built it. And the first 3 years in the business, I did not do well. And it was because I didn't have realistic expectations. And so one is whatever you think you need to do to get to your goals, financial, personal, or otherwise, times that by 10. And that's a realistic expectation of how much energy and momentum that you need to put in one direction, right? You need to put disproportionate direction into one thing with your business, right? To get disproportionate results. Mediocre attention, moderate attention in one direction is going to give you moderate results, mediocre results. You know, you can't be something for everybody. I hear all this shit all the time. And this is a big thing for my business. Some agents may want to do 20 deals a year, 24 deals a year, spend more time with their wife and kids and shit. Great. Fucking awesome. I support you on it. Whatever makes you happy. Your goals are not mine. You know, if you want to crush it and you want to go up and you want to be the best and the number one, there's sacrifices that come into that. That could be personal time. Most of the time it is personal time. But guess what happens? You put a few years disproportionately in one direction to where you can gain traction. To where you're like, you know, I've got enough traction here now. I can actually diversify a little bit or create leverage. And now, hey, I might be able to get the same result or maybe more, maybe a little bit less, and spend more of that quality time with my family or my friends, or go on a few extra fishing trips a year, or whatever it is that I wanted to do, right? That shit doesn't come overnight. People have to earn that, right? And a lot of people come into this business, they watch all these fucking TV shows, you know, about shit, you know, and it's like, hey, $1 million listing selling sunset, that shit's not real. That's not how this fucking business goes down, right? It's all staged shit. Some people can make a lot of money in their first year. It doesn't always happen. It usually takes you about 3 to 5 years to build a business. And that's with support, even with the team, that's with leads, it's with everything else, because you have to follow the roadmap. This is a long tail business. This is not a short tail business. People are going to pop sometimes, but for the most part, it's a lot of nurture. You know, most people statistically are 18 to 24 months out from transacting with you when you first talk to them from any lead source, right? So it's just, if this is a long tail game, don't, and it's so fruitful too, because you're so fucking busy all the time in this business. The calendar just goes like this, boom, 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 boom. I can't believe we're in October already, and we fucking crushed it this year. Yeah. And I've done a lot of things I wanted to this year. Yeah. Right. And so it creates, this business has the opportunity of creating freedom, financial wealth, opportunity, and experiences that you may not necessarily have. But the biggest thing for me too, and what's rewarding for me, is that when my pitcher is full, I can fill everyone else's glass up. Yeah, 100%. And there's nothing more fulfilling than being able to help people discover success and a breakthrough for themselves. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, I one more time, Jay, I'd love for people to hear where they can follow you at, how they can get in touch with you if you know, they need coaching, or they're looking for houses in San Luis Obispo area where you're at, or want to join your team or EXP or whatever. How can people get a hold of you? Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. So again, check me out on Instagram. To search my name, Jay Bond. I'll come up in your search result. Holler at me there. So send me a DM. That's probably the best bet, is to give me a follow on there. And any questions you have, anything I can do to be a good resource, I'm here to help people grow and learn, bro. Awesome. Well, Jay, this has been such a treat having you on today. I know you're going to be on vacation for a little bit starting tomorrow, so I hope you have a great trip. And thanks so much for making the time today. Of course. So everybody else, we'll see you later. And Jay, if you just stand by, I'll go ahead and end the recording. All right.